Market recovers from the day's lower after opening week amid rising tensions over the Gaza attack. Autos stay resilient while metals and realty take a beating today.
Bajaj Auto reports its best quarter for the third time in succession on the back of improvement in product mix, lower commodity prices and favorable exchange rates despite a dip in volumes. The stock jumps in trade.
LTI-Mindtree gains on posting better than expected margins and sees improvement ahead. But Wipro slides after it reports its third quarter of revenue decline and also guides for a weak fourth quarter. Meanwhile, the mid-caps, Persistent and Coforge report a steady show with strong deal wins.
IndusInd Bank continues its growth run along with margin and asset quality improvement, but Bandhan Bank reports a sharp deterioration in asset quality as its stress pool rises.
Hello and welcome. You've tuned into Business Lunch. I'm Nisha Podar and with me as always is Pavitra Parekh. So Pavitra, at the moment, market is trying really hard to recover from the low point of the day. And they've got a fair bit of success, but still we have to see whether there is enough let-up coming in from the global tensions that are really pressure points on our market. So at the moment, let's take stock of Nifty 50. It's at 19,650 odd levels. Remember, it has recovered from the low point of the trading session and marginally in the red. Sensex is losing about 100 points at the moment. Bank Nifty is also on the flat line along with the key indices and mid caps too. So overall, there is a slight bit of recovery as well as tentativeness. No let up per se from the pressure points, but definitely a better showing than what we saw yesterday. Advanced decline ratio also neck and neck. And on my screens, LTI-Mindtree is a top gainer in terms of percentage for Nifty 50. Bajaj Auto, Nestle India, Hero MotoCorp continues its momentum as well. But Wipro is the top loser. So that is the picture coming in. But at the moment, markets really had been trying and making another attempt to recover more.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're pretty much near the high point of the day. It's been a very solid recovery, almost 0.8% from the lows of the session. So it has been a very solid recovery, especially if you look at it in the context of what's going on across Asia, where things are only getting worse. So the Hong Kong market is now down over 2%. You have the Nikkei market seeing similar cuts as well. Kospi, whichever one you look at, is down around 1.5 to 2%. So our market's doing a lot better in that context. A lot of the autos are looking very solid today. Of course, Bajaj on its earnings. But take a look at some of the others. You have Hero, Aisha, all of them, among the few stocks which are holding in the green. The consumption pack is also doing well today. Nestle, of course, posted numbers, and we're waiting by for a lot more coming through there. But for now, that basket is holding in the green as well. And mid-cap IT is once again just taken off. It's not like the numbers were crazy or something, fab came through from there, but these stocks are doing quite well just on the fact that it was a stable set. On the downside, it is a lot of the metals today which are seeing some cuts and some of the real estate names as well. We'll talk more about these individual stocks, but let's kickstart the show by talking about the big movers this afternoon. First up, like I said, Bajaj Auto is one of the top gainers on the Nifty. The company reported an operationally strong set of numbers with margin coming in a whole 260 basis points higher at 19.7% versus the estimate that we had of 19.3%. Now, this was driven by better realizations, a richer product mix as well. And the company's quarterly EBITDA, if you look at it, that figure will be up on your screen. It's come in over 2,000 crore rupees, and this is for the first time that we've seen this kind of number. So overall, very good showing from Bajaj Auto. The revenue growth is in the single digits, but remember, this is despite the fact that we saw an 8% fall in the volumes on the back of, while the volume came lower, the revenue has really jumped on the basis of the fact that there were a lot of price hikes that were undertaken in Q2, and that is why the earnings look quite good. We spoke with Rakesh Sharma, who's ED of the company earlier today, to really discuss their Q2 earnings and where things could move from here on as well. So listen in to what he had to tell us.
The mix has really improved in favor of the premium motorcycles in the domestic business, a surging three-wheeler business, and because of some exchange rate realization improvements between Q2 of last year and this year. So that's what is sort of driven the margin improvement. Yes, we are dancing around the 20% mark. And it is true that the commodities are soft right now. The market share at an overall level in the domestic motorcycles business has gained a couple of percentage points between Q2 of last year and this one in retail terms. We are right now in 120 cities. By the end of the year, we should be in 180 cities with an exclusive Chetak experience store format. It will help us to expand the range. You will see in this quarter that we will launch more products.
All right, let's zoom away from the auto space and move to the IT space, which has a lot of talking point because of the earnings season. And let's talk about Wipro, which is, remember, also the top Nifty loser today and this afternoon after the company reported a weak set of second quarter earnings. Let's take a look at the performance. Well, the revenue growth has contracted for the third straight quarter for Wipro. The company's third quarter revenue guidance is a dampener, with the company guiding for a revenue growth of 3.5% to 1.5% in the third quarter. Now, meanwhile, the company's headcount has declined for the fourth straight quarter. However, the deal bookings have come in strong at $3.8 billion and margins have also held steady for Wipro. Let's also listen into what the management had to say on the company's revenue performance in Q2 and the margin outlook for going forward. Listen in.
The revenue has been, at a little lower than expected, and while in the guidance still, the reality has been that the market has continued to be a little difficult over the last few weeks. We have seen same volume of reduction of discretionary than a little more than what I would have anticipated.
We did indicate that our margins will remain range-bound in line with what we have delivered over the past few quarters. There is a salary increase which will be rolled out effective 1st December. So we will have 1 month impact of those salary wage hikes. And in Q4, we will have 2 incremental months compared to Q3. How much and the quantum, it'll all depend, but it is likely to remain in the same range as what we've done.
We have not onboarded freshers in H1. We had made offers last year and we need to onboard them as the market improves. So far, we have not onboarded freshers in this year.
In the communications sector, we are seeing still a certain hesitation to engage on discretionary spend. Maybe discretionary spend would be in the 20-25% of our portfolio, right? Not all consulting is discretionary spend. Some technology is discretionary spend. It's not that simple to just characterize this category. Our guidance for Q3 include the fact that we are seeing furloughs, as you know, in Q3. Typically, this is when they're coming, and there will not be smaller in volume this year than they were last year.
All right, so that is the management of Wipro. It is the top loser on the Nifty right now. But, speaking of the IT space, LTIMindtree is one stock which is doing very well. It is the top gainer, actually seeing a move of 5.5%. The earnings were pretty much in line. In fact, on the margin, there was a beat as well coming through this time around. And the management was also sounding quite positive. But with that, we do need to get into a short break. On the other side, we're going to get you the latest from the conflict in West Asia. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Lunch, and let's now bring you the latest from the ongoing conflict in West Asia. U.S. President Joe Biden reaffirmed U.S. support for Israel as well as for Palestinians after wrapping up his one-day visit to Tel Aviv. He also stressed in the importance of peace and the role of both countries in being able to achieve it. NBC's Ellison Barber brings us up to speed with the latest.
President Biden met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel today. As you said, he very strongly reaffirmed the United States' support for Israel. He also talked about discussions and agreements, he says, that have been made with Israel to allow humanitarian aid to cross into southern Gaza. He was supposed to meet with the Egyptian president as well as other Arab leaders in Jordan, but that part of his trip was canceled after the explosion at a hospital in Gaza City. However, he has spoken with the president of Egypt since making that agreement with Israel on humanitarian aid, according to Egyptian officials. But we don't know exactly when the Rafah border crossing will open to allow humanitarian aid inside of southern Gaza. President Biden told reporters he's traveling with on Air Force One that he thinks that might happen on Thursday or Friday. But I will remind viewers there was a period of time a few days ago where we thought there was an agreement with Egyptian officials and others to allow that border crossing from Gaza into Egypt to open up for a period of time to allow foreign nationals to leave if they wanted to and allow humanitarian aid to go in. It did not happen. But again, President Biden saying there is an agreement for aid to be moved in. There's a lot of aid already amassed at the border there. The Egyptian Red Crescent, they say their storage units in the area near that border crossing are almost full to the brink. The only question is when and if that aid will be allowed inside to people who so desperately need it.
All right, so that's the latest update coming in on that conflict. And remember, that's just not a regional tension. It has taken the shape of the global powers to be really involving themselves in this particular conflict in terms of dialogue and also trying to de-escalate. So after the US President Joe Biden, as the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has also arrived in Israel, and he's expected to also press for humanitarian aid to be delivered to Gaza. Now, world leaders are stepping up in an attempt to de-escalate the conflict in West Asia. So, massive cause of concern, this globally, the tension being escalating at the moment and going on.
All right, so that is the latest that we are getting. We're going to keep bringing you updates on this front and from that meeting as well. But for now, it is time for a short break. On the other side, we're going to talk about Mumbai's air quality, which has seen a massive drop. So we'll talk all about that very important story when we come back.
Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch, and a quick look at the market at this point. The recovery that the market had attempted went on the flat line when it comes to Nifty 50, but now has really seen a little more sell-off on Nifty 50. So 50 points down, 0.25% down in trade at the moment, Nifty 50. Sensex is losing about 100 odd points. Bank Nifty also has a lot to do, and some of the big financial names, banks like ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, the ones which are draggers in trade today. In fact, in the last few minutes of trade, we have seen a lot of these blue chips also lose some ground, and that's also putting pressure on the overall market. So all in all the indices have moved down and seen some selling pressure, and 0.25% down, almost all of them. Sensex, Nifty, banking space, as well as also mid caps. An advanced decline ratio in favor of the declines at the moment, but only only a handful of counters. On Nifty 50 really showing a tinge of green at the moment, and LTI Mindtree is one of them. Nestle India, Bajaj Auto, some of the handful with single-digit points being added to Nifty 50 on account of them. One counter that stands out for me in a weakish trend in the market today from the mid-cap universe is Z Entertainment. Take a look at that particular counter, and it's 1.5% up, a very strong up move that was shown, and sort of a re-rating into the 260 odd levels, maybe in anticipation of closing in on the merger with Sony. All right, moving on then. Yesterday at the 3rd Global Maritime India Summit held in Mumbai, well, the Union Minister Sarbananda Sonowal announced that around 70 agreements worth over 2 lakh crore rupees were signed on the second day of the 3-day event. In fact, my colleague Rachna spoke to the Union Minister to get more details on this particular development. Let's listen into an excerpt of that interesting conversation.
Altogether, since yesterday, more than 300 MOs being signed at the value of close to 6 lakhs crore. Yeah, 6 lakhs crore. And in different sectors, port modernization, mechanization, port digitization, and green hydrogen, green ammonia, and also the other shipbuilding, ship repairing, in many ways, in the different parameters.
So in the ministry's year-end review of 2022, it was envisioned that the cargo volumes will surge by 1.7 to 2 times by 2030. How do you see this happening?
The target of cargo handling is set with a figure of 10,000 million metric ton per annum. So that is the massive target set for us. So to achieve that target, whatever infrastructure, whatever initiative need to be undertaken, need to be implemented within a time frame, that would be taken up.
Sure. So speaking from the policy side, there's also a national monetization plan that envisions 30 projects to be privatized by 2025-26. What's the update been on that so far?
Yeah, in that direction we are moving very, very comfortably.
So any projects that have been privatized?
Yeah, they are like in Mumbai. This JNPA. JNPA, 100% like in its landlord's port it has become because of the private participation. So that's the way, one after another, will be continued to happen.
Sure. So lastly, I wanted to ask, recently we saw the G20 conclude, and one of the highlights that came out of it were the India, Middle East, Europe corridor. What's been the update on so far, and what's the timeline on it?
Now, this is a very, very good thought put into the right perspective, because to create market in the Europe and Asia, so to create bigger market, to give best possible facilities to the traders, exporter, importer, user of this particular route, they'll be highly benefited out of this particular thought process, out of this particular planning. India, UAE, and Europe economic corridor. It is going to happen in reality within short span of time.
All right, that is an interesting conversation. But moving on to another very important story that we're looking at. With the monsoons receding, Mumbai is in the throes of its second summer. But for Mumbaikars, rising temperatures are not the only problem. We have CNBC-TV18's Rachna, who reports that a sharp drop in air quality is making it very difficult for people in Mumbai to see and breathe. And, we are still waiting for any kind of relief that we can see on this front. But for now, the air quality is still extremely poor. Take a look at the special.
Mumbai has been waking up to hazy mornings over the last 1 week. Air quality index in some parts of the city has spiked rather sharply, even rising past 300 in some cases, something that has happened barely a couple of times in the past. An AQI of 300 indicates hazardous air quality. Now, October heat is not a new phenomenon for Mumbai. Neither is winter pollution, but rarely have the two occurred together. While this has sparked concerns, experts say this will be temporary.
The western disturbance is prevailing over western Himalayas, so it will continue for another 2 to 3 days. So after, say, 21st or 22nd of October, the wind speed will be permanent, or you can say the continuous wind speed from a particular direction will be there, northwesterly winds, then the westerly wind during afternoon hours. So when wind speed will start increasing, then only the pollutants will disperse and there will be some relief. Then again, we think that yes, in the month of October, December and January, the pollution will increase because it's a normal, usual phenomena when winters are there.
Experts also say air quality has worsened due to a confluence of multiple factors, including construction activity in the city and a less than normal monsoon.
Mumbai did not get the expected rainfall, the withdrawal rainfall. It has resulted in sort of drying or dryness over the upper layer of the dust that was settled over the ground. And this dust now, with the type of the population index that we have, with the type of the transport vehicular movement that we have, and with the type of entire infrastructure work that is going on in the Mumbai, definitely this loosening of the dust.
In the interest of public health, the IMD and BMC are advising residents to wear N95 or N99 masks and curtail outdoor exercises in the mornings.
Experts say that AQI above 300 is particularly concerning as it can lead to a lot of respiratory ailments which could be long-term as well as life-threatening in nature. Meanwhile, the BMC has come up with a three-pronged task force for every ward in the city. The subcommittee within the task force will work at limiting pollution coming out of construction activities. It will also keep a check on burning of solid waste around the city and regulate carbon emission levels out of bakeries, kitchens and even housing societies. Sources have also told CNBC-TV18 that penal action is being finalized for repeat offenders. In Mumbai, Rachna Dhanrajani.
All right, a very, very interesting and important report there. And Pavitra, we have all-round construction going on and there is a proper way of evacuation of dust. And that is something that BMC really needs to take note of, because nobody is complaining about the infrastructure for future. But definitely there is more money that can be spent on evacuation of that dust and not letting it go free in the air.
About 300 is, extremely dangerous.
Yes, real bad air quality there, Pavitra.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So we do hope that there's some relief on that front soon. But on that note, we're going to wind down in this edition of Business Lunch. From the entire team, thank you for tuning in. We have Midcap Radar up into.